We have a number of faculty with us today, and I'm going to introduce them in just a second, but just to give you an idea of the program for today, what we're going to do is we wanted to give you an idea about the application process, but also introduce you to the department a bit, introduce you to the grad program, talk a little bit about sort of the program itself, where people end up in terms of jobs and stuff like that after going through the program. Then we're going to have a Q&A with the faculty where you can ask us questions, things that we look for in grad students, or about grad experiences, the kinds of work we do. All of that is good. And then we're going to turn you over to a panel of our graduate students, and thanks so much, guys, for doing this, where you can ask them about sort of their experiences. And we have both sort of faculty and graduate students from all of the kind of many different disciplines that are housed in our department. So I think it's a pretty good group. I hope you'll enjoy the session. So just to start off, let me quickly introduce the faculty, because we're going to kind of go over and give you a little introduction to the department. I'm happy to introduce Dr. Liz Ackert, who's going to start us off. Then Samaya Dodge. Dr. Dodge is going to take over after that. Then we've got Nick Nziko, who will step in, and then I think Stuart Sweeney is going to join us, who's our department chair, Dr. Anna Trugman, and then Dr. Ian Walker. So Liz, why don't you start us off, and Consuelo, if you can tee up the slides, that would be brilliant.
Sure. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, great. I'll just wait for the slides to queue up. Okay, thanks everybody for coming today. We're just going to start by presenting a few slides about the application process for our program at UCSB. And also just to let everybody know, Consuelo will put this in the chat, but we have an FAQ page for frequently asked questions related to the application process. So Consuelo will put that link in the chat, and then after this meeting, you can always email us or Consuelo. Consuelo is actually the expert on the application process. So this is the example of our FAQ page that we have. And then you can always email other questions to Consuelo. Okay, do we want to get the slides rolling? Am I supposed to share the slides, or are you going to do that?
Oh, so I can see them on my screen, but let me.
I can't. Can anyone else see them? I just see the web page.
All right. Oh, let me close that. How about now? Can you see them now?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to give a brief overview of our department. We have 3 degree objectives. We offer a Master of Arts in Geography, a PhD in Geography, and then most of our students get a Master of Arts and a PhD. We also have some students who come in with an MA or an MS already and go directly to the PhD. We don't typically admit students where a master's is the terminal degree that they want to get. Really, we're hoping that most of our students get the master's and then keep going through the PhD. We currently have 57 graduate students. We have 23 students in our joint doctoral program. So this is a program that we have with San Diego State University. So those students are actually spend most of their time at San Diego State, and then they spend a year in residence at UCSB. We have 16 students in the IGPMS program. We have 26 faculty and 11 staff. We have 7 sort of what we think of as our areas of strength, or our core core areas of expertise in our department, and most of us work within one of these, and some of us work between these areas. So atmospheric and climate science, cognitive and behavioral geography, geoanalytics science and planning, GI science and geoinformatics, ocean science, population and health, and terrestrial sciences. Now, I think Samaya is going to talk a little bit more about the application process.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. I'm Samaya Daj, and I will walk you through the application process. So here is the link to where you can go and submit your application. And the requirements are undergrad grade point average of 3.25 or higher. You will need to include a statement of purpose and a statement for personal achievements and contribution, and a resume or CV. You will need to have 3 letters of recommendation and official transcript from your post-secondary institutions, like your undergrad degree. And then for those of you who are applying from another country and with non-native language, non-English speaker countries, you will need to have a TOEFL or IELTS, and the basically requirements for those are TOEFL score of 550 for paper-based or 80 for internet-based. And if you're doing an IELTS, then that would be overall score of 7. And then the GRE score, we are not requiring it. Next, please. So then basically the objective for master and PhD objective is for students who don't have a master, so you want to select that. If you already have a master, you want to select PhD objective, unless maybe your master degree is different, and if you want to have both. I'm not sure, maybe Consolata can explain that further later on, but then you will need to contact individual faculty members who you are interested in their work and you would like to work with them and discuss possible research interests that you might have to pursue in your graduate work. So it would be very helpful to contact faculty with similar interests and talk to them about your intention of applying. And then basically in your statement of purpose, you want to indicate what a faculty member or which faculty member you want to work with, and for what specific research areas. So it is important to indicate what areas of your research will focus on, and why you want to work with those faculty you mentioned in your statement of purpose. And then you will need, so it would be helpful to have a diversity statement, and you can include it in your personal statement and basically indicate the variety of personal experiences, values, and worldwide worldviews that have arisen in your life from differences of cultures and circumstances. And you don't need to include anything, I believe, in your financial information, that there is a segment in your application that needs some information, some financial information. As far as I know, you might, you can leave those empty, I believe. Next, please. So here is the application page, and basically you will need to pick what major, the geography major, and also the degree that you are interested to pursue. And then you will need to select some research interest areas. So those are the areas that we mentioned at the beginning of this presentation. Liz mentioned those. And obviously you want to pick the areas that are of interest to you and they relate. And then you will need to include names of faculty that you are interested to work with. You don't have to, but it's highly recommended. and at least like 2 or 3 faculty or maximum 5 faculty. You don't want to include everybody in this list because it doesn't seem right. And also you probably don't want to work with all faculty members. So you want to be very specific about whom you want to work with, and you have a purpose for that in your personal statement, or sorry, the statement of purpose. Okay, and next I believe is covering that.
Nick next.
I believe so.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nick Nitziko. I'm an oceanographer here in the department. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the application review timeline and process. So applications are due December 15th. Importantly, within this deadline, you want to know that 2 weeks prior to that is the deadline for fee waivers. So fee waivers are available for, there's a number of ways you can qualify for fee waivers in the admissions process. So you should take advantage of that and look into that. The deadline to request that fee waiver again is December 1st. So then between December and February, the applications are reviewed by the graduate committee. The graduate committee conducts a holistic application review in which we're looking at a suite of things across your application, including your academic performance, motivational attributes, aptitude or potential for research, and then contributions to diversity. So if you have, poor grades, but you've worked hard through school and you've shown progress in your grades through time, we're taking this into account. And that process is going to begin for us in December and go through the middle of January, February in general. In late February, the department will host an open house event for selected applicants. And then by March, we're finalizing admissions decisions and the financial aid packages are released. Next slide. Just recommended coursework in terms of preparation. The department is strongly quantitative. We do recommend a strong preparation in math, statistics, or computer programming to the degree that you can. And again, this is part of the holistic review. We're looking for students that have challenged themselves and have the potential for success in the program.
All right, thanks, Nick. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna. I'm an ecologist and a terrestrial biogeochemist, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the funding packages that we offer. So the department funding packages typically range from 4 to 5 year commitments. And what this means is that you're going to get a stipend while you're here at UCSB, and also your tuition covered by the department. And the funding packages include teaching assistantship positions or graduate student research positions, tuition, like I mentioned, and also health insurance and non-resident tuition, if that's applicable for you. So if you aren't a resident of California for the first year of the program. Next slide. And so this gives you, if you were to enter the program, how long you might be here. The normative time for completion of the master's degree in the department is 7 quarters. So UCSB is a quarter, and we have 3 quarters during the academic year and 1 quarter during the summer. I actually don't know if this is for, includes the summer quarter or not, but the normative time for completion to the PhD degree in our department is 18 quarters, or about 6 years. And this includes getting your master's potentially on the way if you apply to the MA PhD program. The median time to degree for the master's is a little over 2.5 years, and the median time to degree for the PhD is 5.75, or about 6 years. Next.
Thanks, Anna.
Yeah.
I'm Ian Walker. I'm a physical geographer and geomorphologist and professor in the department. I'm sure there are lots of motivations out there as to why you would be going to grad school. And of course, this has been a funky year for all of us. But what we want to impress upon you here is that a degree in geography, especially an advanced degree, can take you a lot of different places. Our success in student placements is high, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And this slide here just gives you a sense for where you can go. And this is just not an exhaustive list by any means. But we have faculty, or we have students who go on to become faculty in university systems, either as tenure track or non-tenure track positions. Those who go on into various science management positions, GIS specialists in business, health and environmental health programs, all sorts of applications. I'm not going to read them off here. I think you can all take that in. But what I do want to draw your attention to on the right is the results from recent alumni surveys. And I'll just focus in on 2013 here. Or actually, this looks like it's compiled across 3 years. And I'm just going to focus on the all category here, not by gender. But you can see that about 60% and another 15 or so of our student graduates go on into research positions in academia. And then we have another 25% that combined goes into the government or private sector research positions or technical positions. All to say that there's a variety of places you can go and our success rate is high. Next slide, please. To give you a sense of where some of our students go, you can see the list here: Apple and other universities, including some place called Harvard, big agencies and companies like Esri. If you've used GIS, you're familiar with Esri. My phone is ringing, sorry about that. And government research laboratories like the US Geologic Survey and the US Forest Service. Something you do want to keep in mind as you enter into the graduate program is what you're going to do with it. So the faculty are here to help you with some of those decisions, from the programming of your actual degree and your research. But we all have connections beyond academia as well, or with other institutions, and we're here to help place you beyond. Anyway, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks, Ian. And so what we wanted to do now is just to give you a chance to ask us questions. I'm going to start us off, and we'll just sort of go around to the different faculty and have each of us sort of give you a quick one-sentence answer or two-sentence answer in terms of things we're looking for, in terms of that we look for when we're looking at grad applications. But if you've got questions, either raise your hand or drop them into the chat, and we'll try to get them to different faculty members. But I'm going to start off just, again, asking faculty to, if you can give us a sense of what do you look for when you're looking at grad applications. And Liz, I'm going to start off with you.
Sure. Yeah, and I forgot to mention, so my name is Liz Ackert, and I'm one of the human geographers. I primarily work within that area of population and health. So what I'm looking for is an alignment of broad research interests with my broad research interests. So you don't have to want to research exactly what I'm researching, but generally within the area of population and health, especially how context plays out with population and health, that's what I'm looking for. So some knowledge that you've read about what I research, and that you can show alignment between what you want to do and what I do. And then it helps, as Nick mentioned, to have some training in statistics, in programming languages, or both. If you don't have this training, then you need to be highly motivated to learn quantitative research methods. Thanks.
Smaya, do you want to jump in?
Sure. And I also forgot to mention my background or what I do. I am a GIS science faculty, so my research area is mainly broadly is categorized under geographic information science and systems. And then specifically, I do movement analytics, and in both application areas of human mobility and movement ecology. I'm very interested in relating human mobility and animal movement to the environment, and look at environmental changes and how it impacts our mobility and animal movement in general. So I am looking for students with a strong quantitative backgrounds and interest in movement analytics broadly. So it doesn't have to be exactly on like a specific technique or models that we are using, but in general, analysis, modeling, and visualization of movement in general. So it would be nice if there is some interest and background in that area. Otherwise, also future interest would be sufficient. There was a question in the chat about if you all have a geography background. I don't. So my undergrad was an engineering degree. So I studied surveying engineering, and in my master, I did GIS engineering, so pure on the development side of it. But then my PhD was from a geography department, but I never took really geography courses. So the background is a little varied. Yeah, so I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. That's it.
Nick, I don't know if you want to jump in and give your 2 cents worth in terms of things you look for.
I don't have anything particularly additional to add. I mean, I was going to use the word, I'm looking for people with sort of a strong quantitative background.
Anna?
Yeah, so those are some great suggestions. The things that I would add that are really helpful is I'm looking for like motivational attributes that you might demonstrate that you're able to do some sort of independent work, that you're excited about. My general area of research, and so I'm an ecologist and a terrestrial biogeochemist interested in understanding how ecosystems respond to climate change. And I think, you know, when you're contacting faculty members, and this is good advice, regardless of if it's at UCSB, like do a little bit of homework beforehand, look at some of the papers the faculty members have published, and maybe tie in how you're interested, so that, I mean, that helps me both assess motivational attributes and also get a good conversation going.
Hi, we had a question. Mara, why don't you jump on in?
Hi, yeah, I'm Mira. I actually Anna basically just answered my question, which was, you've all been in this position of looking at PhD programs. There's obviously a lot of wonderful options out there and kind of things to look for on like what all of you would have recommended looking for when you were at this point, or something you didn't think about when you were going through that process. But she kind of got to that already. Thank you.
Thanks, Mira. Actually, Ian, you feel free to if you have other thoughts in terms of recommend things you'd suggest to graduate students to be looking for or asking.
Well, first I'll say what they all said, but then, you know, in my experience, many of us get probably dozens or more inquiries each year. So to build on what Anna said, you really want to kind of show a little extra initiative, do your homework as you would for anything else, and reach out with some information. It's always good to contact faculty in advance. We really don't mind that, but it's helpful for us if you've kind of situated yourself in what it is we do and what we do as a program. So I can't stress that enough. And that translates too into the application. So when you do apply, as Samaya said, do indicate a faculty member of interest and try and make contact with that person in advance. It's not to say that we won't consider applications where that doesn't happen, but it is an indication that you've kind of tried to position yourself with our programs. But otherwise, you know, as has been said, we are a quantitative program, but don't let that freak you out if you don't have a quantitative background. But as I think Liz said, be prepared. And we have good coursework to get you up to speed in those areas. So that's part of grad school is upping your training a little bit. And it is a career choice too. So make sure you do your homework on where it is you want to be, as I mentioned, in terms of the opportunities beyond. But think, you know, you've got 4 to 6 years between that endpoint and in graduate school. And it's a rewarding time, it's a challenging time. And certainly as we go into recessions, it's a common time for people to be coming back to school, which leads to my last point. It's competitive, as you may know if you've applied to other programs. We get many more applications. I couldn't put a number on it, it's not really important, but many more applications than we can possibly admit each year. So again, falling back on those other points, if you can make your application stand out and show other aspects beyond your GPA and your CV that are useful, whether it be volunteerism or experience doing research or a research-based thesis, for me, that's really important. What sort of experience does the student have doing research that's relevant or whatnot in our area? The last point I'll make is that the graduate experience is not a solo experience. You'll become part of a cohort. The faculty and ourselves are a cohort, and we work in sub-cohorts with faculty across campuses and sometimes at other institutions. You've heard about the JDP program, for example. So keep in mind that, this is kind of it's a team thing that we do here in grad school. And so again, if you're lacking experience, don't let that be a hindrance or a stopping point for you. But look around to maybe other faculty in the unit or, other programs we have like IGPMS for those interested in marine sciences, where you can pull on a whole bunch of people to build the experience that you like. I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and I guess I wanted to add in one thing, just following on what Ian said. I mean, one thing I guess that really struck me in grad school was that sort of team experience. And so I think in terms of questions to ask, this is why I'm really happy we have a number of great graduate students here with us today, is get their sense. I mean, what I find about our department is it's very collaborative, and there's a very strong sort of communal effort idea in terms of like, we're all in this together. We all want each other to succeed because frankly, we're going to keep seeing each other for the rest of our careers, which is what makes this all so wonderful. But don't take my word for it. Ask them. Smaya, you wanted to add.
Sorry. So I just saw a question in chat. I wanted to respond to that. The question was, what if a faculty doesn't respond, and can they still include them in the application process when they write their application that they are interested to work with that faculty? It's a tricky question, but I would say make your email attractive to the faculty so that they respond to you. If you just send a general email saying that I want to apply to graduate school without giving any detailed information about what you want to do and why is it relevant to the work of that faculty and why you are interested in that area of research, then probably we get a lot of these emails every day. So you want to stand out when you send an email to a faculty, and you want to make a point why they would want to pick you over somebody else, right? So I would be more specific on that, why you're reaching out to that specific faculty, and you need to do your homework. If you're sending me an email saying that your interest is in physical geography with land use, and I never done anything related to that, I'm not going to respond, right? And even if you include me in your application, I would probably not pick that application if I haven't really have anything to relate to, right?
Anna.
To add on Somaya's response a little and the question that I saw in the chat, if you do reach out to a faculty member and they say they're not accepting students that year and you only list that faculty member on as the main one you want to do work with at UCSB, that may affect your admissions prospects. So don't just rely on some faculty member that that's not accepting students that year. Make sure that there is someone that you want to work with at UCSB that is accepting students the year you apply.
Liz, go for it.
Yeah, and just to sort of echo this what we're talking about, contacting faculty members and if they're being responsive, if they're not, if they're taking students, if they're not. So I think, it is important to look for maybe between like 1 and 3 people that you could work with, but also be realistic with yourself about our program, right? And what we have to offer. We can't offer everything. We can't meet all needs. And so it's good to not only apply to our program, but to apply to different programs. If perhaps the person that you really want to work with isn't taking new students. And I would also just echo that, in your personal, in your statement, when you're talking about who you want to work with, be realistic about what you really do want to do and what you do want to pursue. I would say, don't try to say, well, I do this, but I'm willing to do this to work with this person. That's not a great strategy, because this is your long-term career. You really need to be doing a line of research that you want to be doing. And so we hope that we're a good place for a lot of you that are here to do that. But it's really, important when you are a student or a prospective student to think about, where's the best place for me? What is realistically going to be the best fit for me? And then can I show that in my application?
Yes, Cheong.
Hi, I have a question about a joint degree program. So I think it could be a good opportunity to collaborate with other professors in San Diego State University as well. I'm curious if I can apply to both a joint degree program and the PhD program in UCSB, because I think it's like a two separate programs, right? So I'm not sure if that can happen.
I can answer that one. Yes, you can apply to both. They're two separate applications, so just make sure to apply to the two separate applications. But you can definitely apply to both, and it's common, it does happen. And you can also be admitted to both. So just so you know, like you can apply to both and you can be admitted to both. So just letting you know.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question. So if I get admitted to the joint degree program, I saw from the handbook that I will get to work with 4 advisors, 2 from UCSB and 2 from San Diego. I'm not sure if one of the 4 advisors will be like my main advisor, or will it be like, I cannot like have a grasp of what the joint degree program would look like if I have 4 advisors. So could you elaborate more on that?
I can answer that one too. So your main advisor will be at SDSU, and then the advisors that you have at UCSB will be more like committee members. They won't be your main advisor. They will be part of your committee. Your main faculty advisor will be part of SDSU.
Oh, I see. Thank you so much.
That's the nice thing about sort of a PhD committee is the roles that people play in that committee can be very much up to you to a large degree. I mean, and some people, for some people, their committee members sort of just give comments on work that's already under development, but in other case, committee members are very active from day one. And some people work with different committee members on different chapters. So you can really kind of formulate the committee in a way that makes sense for you. Ian.
Hi, just responding to a question here about qualities of students who are successful in the program. Well, we have a handful of students, current graduate students in the program. I don't know how to answer that question directly. It's kind of a tricky one, but there's a bunch of elements or ingredients, if you like, in the recipes for success. And the only one I'm going to say right now is, well, if there's 2, treat it seriously and with passion, and manage your time well. Those are the only 2 I'm going to add. But I wonder if some of the existing grads wanted to chime in on, what they're finding are useful attributes for success so far.
I can chime in. I was going to say that I think being resilient is a very important part of being in grad school. Sometimes you're going to fail, sometimes things not going to work right. And it's all about your ability to just pick up and go from that failure or from that shortcoming and being able to redo it again until you get it right. Or decide, oh wait, this isn't probably the best way to do this, and change the way you're going to do it. But I think resiliency is probably one of the most important aspects of being a grad student and succeeding in the graduate program.
I agree with you, Harmon, and I'd also like to add being able to prioritize well and knowing where you need to put your energy, because we all only have a limited amount. So being able to prioritize and also making sure that you and your self-care and your mental health is somewhere on the top of that list.
You also need to be good at time management, and part of that is also just like self-motivation, because a lot of it is making schedules for yourself, like making deadlines for yourself when you enter a program that's or a research project that's years long. You have to kind of set your own benchmarks that you want to hit, say weekly or monthly or quarterly. So there's a lot of time management that you have to figure out on your own, and also just like deadlines for yourself to make sure you're always making progress.
I guess I wanted to jump in on, Darlene, to your question about letters of recommendation from academics versus industry folks. I mean, in some ways, it's a research degree, really. I mean, fundamentally, that's what you'd be getting. So, I mean, if you've done research with industry folks and they can speak to kind of your research, I think that certainly does carry weight. In general, we kind of understand academics better, but if you've had some really good research experience with an industry and they can speak to your work ethic and but also sort of your creativity in terms of designing research or implementing research, that's all really good.
Okay. Can I have a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I asked that too specifically because I've been working in industry for 20 years. And so, maybe some of the academic folks that I worked with, like in my master's degree, which was a long time ago, may not have a good sense of where I'm at now, and so that's kind of why I was asking that question. And certainly I do applied research in industry, but it's not pure science research or something,
Sure. No, in that context, and I'm also somebody who did my graduate degree after being out in the work world for a while. So yeah, sorry,
Okay.
in that case, yes, definitely.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just add that it isn't helpful if you don't have any academic references, I guess. But Darlene, your point's valid, and we do see a fair number of more mature students applying to graduate school. And keep in mind that the reference letters, they're very important, but they're not the only component of your package, right? There's all of those other things. So when it comes to the committees that evaluate and decide, we're discussing a lot of different things, but certainly having strong reference letters is key. And ideally you'd have some from academia.
Or if I could, or strategically, if not, or if less, if they could at least be speaking to the attributes that you would need to be successful in a grad program, that would help too. Any other questions? If not, I'm gonna want to introduce our grad students. Oh, I see. Okay, sorry. Thanks, Chase. For interdisciplinary interests, I mean, I'm going to rudely take that one and then let the other faculty jump in. I mean, earlier we were asked about sort of if we had geography backgrounds, and if not, how did we find ourselves here? I don't. I think, as Liz mentioned, a lot of us don't. I'm an applied economist, I should note, and I arrived here because I want to do good interdisciplinary work, and that's if we have sort of a common theme. One of them is that we're quantitative. The other one, though, is that we all are here, and I think I can argue in part because we want to do good multidisciplinary stuff, which is what makes it such a fun place to be, frankly. I don't know if anyone of the other faculty want to chime in.
I agree. Most of the work I do is multidisciplinary. Like I work with ecologists, biologists, I work with transportation scientists, like Kostas and I work together, well, although we have completely different background. So, and I believe it is encouraged.
Yeah, and I guess somebody who does have geography degrees, one of the few in the faculty complement. But being a physical geographer, and I've actually been in geology and earth and space programs, and half my colleagues are. The point is that, as Kathy says, we're inherently interdisciplinary, or some would argue transdisciplinary. We kind of span that anyway. It's what we do. And for me, one of the excitements of coming to UCSB was not only was it a strong, historically very strong program, but there's good connectedness to people who do oceanography. I work mostly on coastlines and with sediment transport. So there's lots of coastal people here. There's lots of engineers here that do fluid dynamics, which I do. There's lots of people in the earth sciences program who do the geology that I do. So across any of our areas of the 7 that were listed, and then the specific research that we do, there's lots of connections for that here. So I really don't see that as a challenge at all. I see it as a strength of many geography programs, and certainly here at UCSB.
Anna.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I think so. I echo Kathy and Ian's sentiment, but I think you can be really you can come off as too general if you, as Somaya mentioned, list all faculty members in the department on your application, but you can actually have really targeted interdisciplinary research ideas that show you've really thought about it and developed your idea, and it ties in well with some theme in the faculty's research. So there are really important ways that you can show that you have both this broad interdisciplinary view of things, but understand how you could make a tractable thesis out of that. So I think that that's the approach that I would be impressed as if I were reviewing an application. I also just want to address a question in the chat about letters of recommendation. It is best to have them in with your application on December 15th. And the best way that you can ensure that that happens is by asking the people that you want recommendations for now, if they'll write you a recommendation. So give them a month of lead time, and then follow up the week before and say, hi, I'd just like to send you a friendly reminder. This is due on December 15th. And all the faculty members or folks writing you recommendations know they're important, but just sometimes their emergency isn't your emergency. So make sure they have a really long lead time to know they need to write it, and follow up just to make sure they don't forget.
Thanks, Anna. Very good point. Well, I want to make sure you guys have some time with our graduate students. So I'm going to pivot now to our grad students here in the audience, and I'm going to do sort of quick introductions. If you can wave, I guess. We have Sofia Arabagis, and then we've got Marissa Coelho, Chelsea McCorder, Herman Silva, Rangshan Su, Will Turner, Kelly Velasquez, excuse me, and Feifei Zhao. And we're gonna leave you with them just in case you want to ask some questions that you don't want to ask in front of the faculty, and we will stop the recording.